to do to go off the guided track, to go off the system that we're so often told to go on. So you want to respect this when you're speaking to business owners. Now, the yes set, just to make it pretty quick, is an idea. It's used in hypnosis. It's also used in sales. It's a very basic idea that you get a person to say yes 2 or 3 times, and they're going to be so in the spirit of saying yes, they're going to be so used to saying yes, that they're going to go for your big idea. So it can be like someone says to you, would you like to earn more money? Yeah, sure, yes, I'd like to earn more money. Would you like to have more free time? Yes. Would you like to go on more vacations? Yes. Well, buy my book. Maybe. No, I don't think so. You don't go for that final yes, because it's a different sort of yes that they're asking for. Now, what I'm talking about today is based on a guy named Chris Voss. Now, Chris Voss was the lead FBI hostage negotiator. So if anyone knows about persuasion, about negotiation, this is a guy who knows a lot about it. And he went counter to the idea of going for a yes. So instead of going for a yes, Chris says us, let's try to get a different response from people. What if we want to just get people to say no? Because no could be the same thing as yes if you change the question around. But there's a difference in people in the commitment to say yes and the feeling of saying no. Okay? And the difference is when we say no, we feel protected. We feel safe. We feel stronger. When we say yes, we're kind of putting something out there. So the quickest route to go is just to, start switching your questions around so that you change the yeses to nos, and you could get a no set. And you could try that way. But what you really want to do is use the idea of the no as an opportunity to learn more. And what's more powerful than a yes, and definitely more powerful than a you're right. Watch out for you're right. It's a little trick phrase. People will say you're right just to shut you up. Okay? I heard a little bit laugh back there. You know what I'm talking about. So people will just say, oh yeah, you're right, you're right. They don't really believe it. It's not a real yes. But if someone says, instead of saying you're right, they say that's right. Now that's a whole nother story. Now as I said, a lot of what I'm talking about today is based on Chris Voss. We're making this video here, and I'm going to be sending it to him. He runs a group called the Black Swan Group. And a black swan is something that's unusual that creates a great impact. And I would really love to work with those guys. So I'm going to be sending them this, and either they'll send me a job offer or a cease and desist letter. One way or another. Groan. Okay, that joke died. But if I get a little smile from you, that's good. Even just a little smile, because when we smile, we're happy. When we're happy, we work 31% better. We're 31% smarter when we're happy. Did you know that? Yep. It's true. 31%. That's a pretty nice margin of improvement to get just from a smile. And the coolest thing about a smile is that it's contagious. As I smile, I see the smile start to pop up and grow all around the room. You can be on a subway train, just think of something really funny and smile to yourself, and you'll just start to notice it pop around the whole subway. It's an amazing thing. But smiling is a really powerful thing. Being happy makes us 31% more effective. So you want to bring this to your business negotiations. You want to, when you start talking to someone, when you start working with someone, smile. Get them to smile. let them feel good, because it's gonna get you started. You have a problem? Everything okay? Oh, do I need to go over here?
Stay there. Stay there.
My forehead was chopped off.
Yeah, don't move too
All
much.
right. All right. Yeah, I tend to move around a lot sometimes when I.
Don't worry, I gotcha. I gotcha.
Oh, I'm covered over here as well, so that's good.
Yeah, closer to you.
No, leave it like that.
You're good.
So I've been helping people with hypnosis for the past 11 years, and I'm always looking for ideas that tell me more about how people work. I learned a few years ago that when I want someone to do something, instead of asking them, will you do this for me, can you do this for me, I'll look at them and I'll say, can I count on you to do this for me? Can I count on you to do this for me? And the thing is, if they say no, I know that's fine. They're not going to do it. They have no interest in it, whatever. But if they say yes, I actually know they're going to do it. And the reason is because when I say, can I count on you, I put that person on a pedestal. I elevate them. So the little things you say, the little changes in your wording can make a huge, huge impact on how you succeed with your clients. You want to share a perspective. And that's how kind of the yes set was developed. Was the idea of getting a person to say yes, not just because, hey, we'll get them in this pattern and they'll just repeat the pattern, but also that if you say yes to the things I say, maybe you're starting to see the world the way I see it. We're sharing a perspective. And a great way to do that in sales is to mirror. And I don't mean you copy every action the person does, or you try to copy their voice exactly. Although, I found, especially when I was doing phone sales, that if you want to mirror a person over the phone, mirror their volume and their rate of speech. How quickly or how slow they talk. So if a person talks to you and you're like, oh wow, this person must be from the South, they're talking so slow. You've got to slow it down too. Because if you talk like a quick New Yorker, I'm gonna get all your problems solved right away. Too late. Don't want any of that, you know? On the other hand, if they got on the phone and they say, all right, what are you talking about? What's here? What do you want? And you're like, let me tell you. Like, you're just not in the same world they are. You want to be in the same space. You want to have the same perspective. So you can do things like mirroring the way people speak, but also, and I was really amazed by this when I heard the technique, mirror the last 3 words a person says, the last 3 important words a person says. Just say that over when you ask them a question, they give you an answer, say those last 3 words again, and they'll start talking more. The more a person is talking to you, the more comfortable they are, the more likely you're creating rapport that's going to result in a sale. Do you have a question? Okay, no, I just saw you move in and I thought you had a question. And I'm going to do questions at the end, by the way. So, one thing I will ask, and I didn't put this out before, is so I don't just babble on forever. I'm going to ask if you could tell me every about 15 minutes or so, because I wanted to spend about 15 minutes introducing myself and the concept, about 15 minutes on how to apply this, and about 15 minutes for questions and answers from our 45 minutes, okay? And I also have a few minutes where I'm going to talk about my gift to you guys all for being here today. Because, as you saw on the flyer, by being here today, you're getting a free session with me, 30-minute session at the Green Spa or by phone. So I'll talk about that for a few minutes at the very end. So the yes set, a lot of people have used it. You've heard it all around. But you've heard it so much that you recognize the trap. So that when a person starts asking you these questions that they know you're going to say yes to, it starts building your defenses up. Am I right? You feel it because you're like, okay, what's going on here? So when I heard about this persuasion technique, the way Chris Voss does it, I said, this is good for me because I'm not a good liar. I have too many tells. People can sense and tell when I'm lying. My wife loves to make fun of me for it. And when I met my wife, I used to lie a whole bunch. Now, I really don't lie very much at all because I know I'm really bad at it. So I'm going to use another method than lying to try to get what I want, to try to make my persuasion. A lot of people think like hypnotists, wow, you can make people do whatever you want. You have mind control powers. And I do have some mind control powers, but if I could make people do anything I wanted to, we'd be having this conversation on my yacht or on my jet. So the fact that we're here, it doesn't means I can't make everyone do everything I want them to do, but I do have a few ways to be a little more persuasive. So if you know people are more ready to say no than they are to say yes, ask them questions that you know they're going that feel comfortable saying no to, that help you. You know, are you sick of paying too much for your merchant services, your credit card processing?
That's a yes.
You know, or
That's a yes.
do you right? But yeah, I said it backwards. No, I'm sorry. Are you willing?
Do you want to continue to keep paying?
You want
more?
to continue to pay too much for your merchant services? That's what I meant to say. Thank
No.
you. No, I don't. Are you satisfied with the number of customers you have coming into your business right now?
No.
No, I want more. So, are you going to pass up this an opportunity to meet with me to learn how to build up your clients, to get more clients? Are you going to pass that up? No, you're not. You're not going to want to, because you're saying to yourself, no, I'm sick of this status quo. I'm sick of the things the way they are. I'm starting to say there's a reason to change. Ronald Reagan, when he ran for president, did it really effectively. He said, ask yourself these questions. Am I better off now than I was 4 years ago? Do I feel like the country is working better than it was 4 years ago? If the answer is yes, then you know how you should vote. But if your answer is no, then you know you should vote for me. And he became president. I mean, it works. He got into people's head, and he got them comfortable saying no. And where it meant that they were going to make a decision that went for him. So you want to be able to use that if people are more comfortable saying no, then hey, let them say no to turning you away, to not working with you, to not making that change, to letting things stay the way they are. I'll talk to people who are quitting smoking, okay? And people smoke for 20 and 30 years and they realize, I don't want to do this anymore. But how do I quit? I don't know how. I tried and I keep going back to it. And so I get them to visualize cigarettes as a person. And I get them to think about a person who they would never ever talk to again in their lives. Someone who's burnt the bridge so bad that I am never ever going to talk to that person again. See their face. See the face of the person you never ever want to talk to again. Now, when I talk about cigarettes, I want you to see that person's face. And what I'll do is I'll say, okay, imagine if this person were stealing $5,000 a year from you. So if you smoke a pack a day, that's what you're spending. Imagine this person was poisoning you, which is true. But here's the real thing. Imagine that this person is threatening your kids and your family with your help and saying, I'm going to take mommy away. I'm going to take daddy away. If someone did that in real life, you'd kill them. If someone said that to your kids, would you let them get away with that? Would you let them get away with that?
No.
No. Nuh-uh.
You wouldn't. And so when I talk to smokers and I have them realize that this person who they're calling their best friend, who they've hung out with for 20 years, is doing all this stuff to them, and I'll ask them, are you willing to put up with this anymore?
No.
No. And what I'll do is I will, when they say no, I'll make sure it's genuine. I'll make sure it has the conviction it needs to make that change inside their head. So they might go, no, or no, and I'll be like, I don't believe you. Are you going to let these cigarettes run your life and run you into the grave? No. That's what I want to hear. That's what I believe. When they say it and they've taken their power back, they've said, this is the line and no one's going to cross it. This is me, and you're not getting past me. That's what it means when we say no. We take command, don't we?
Right.
So give people that authority to say no, but allow them to say what you want to say at the same time, right? Am I giving you bad advice?
No.
So you want to think about the questions you ask and not try to force people to say yes. And the reason we are so inclined to ask questions where we want people to say yes is because we're addicted to yes. It feels so good every time we get a yes from someone, doesn't it? It's like an affirmation that we did something right. But do you like this product? Yes. There's a guy who wrote a book called Man and a Woman. Actually, they wrote the book together, but I've seen the guy speaking about it, and it's called Go for No. And it says the philosophy behind that is that if a person just says yes, you don't know what they would say no to. So he was selling clothes in a store, and a guy came in, and his manager was right over there, and the guy comes in, and he sells the guy $1,100 worth of clothes. And the guy walks out, and the sales manager looks over at him, just nods his head, and the guy's kind of like waiting there for this really big applause, really, for him to say, oh, you're so fantastic, you sold $1,100 worth of clothes to one guy, And this is back in like the 80s, This is not today where, okay, $1,100 worth of clothes, it's like 8 things, maybe, It's like he bought expensive stuff for the time in good quantity. And so the guy's wondering why his manager isn't raving about it, isn't like so happy about what he said. And so his manager says, well, what did he say no to? And he said, well, he didn't say no to anything. He said yes to everything. And he said, well, if he said yes to everything, he'd still be buying things, And what happened was that the salesman, once the guy got to about $1,100 worth of stuff, the salesman said, okay, that's enough. I can't believe this guy is buying so much stuff. So that was like, okay, I better close this deal now and get him out of the store before he changes his mind or something, But he blocked himself from getting more. And your potential is only as big as your expectations. We have in our minds a system called the reticular activation system. And what this does is it filters all of our senses so that we can function in reality. People who are tripping on acid, their reticular activation systems get kind of silenced. So they're overloaded because they're seeing all these things, they're hearing all these things, they're feeling all these things, they're remembering all these things, and there's no filter to balance it out. So they're tripped out. But for us, we have a filter, that reticular activation system, that keeps us, oh, okay, everything's all right. And it works, the way the filter works is on expectations. So they did a study with 100 people who thought they were lucky, 100 people who thought they were unlucky. They sent them down the same street, one after another. 88% of the lucky people found money on the street. 96 of the unlucky people failed to find money on the street. Their expectations were met completely.
I always find
You always find money on the street. And part of that is, part of the reason is because she is open to it. She expects it. She's like, yeah, sure. The universe, it happens to me. I need some money. Oh, there's some money there. You allow it.
like parking.
Right. You find you think I want a spot, and you find a spot, and it just magically opens up. So I mean, yeah, this stuff is real. I want to give you a real life, two real life examples of this. There was a multi-millionaire who would keep a little diary, and anytime someone was nice to him, he wrote down their name. And when he passed away, he had a will, and the law firm had a requirement that, okay, these are all the people who get the money, you have to call them, and when they show up, they're going to get their allotments. If they don't show up, they don't get their allotment. They don't get what they would get in the will. And he gave away a fortune of a total of $40 million.
Wow.
The law firm got to keep $27 million because so many of the people never called the law firm back, never went to the meeting, never took the money that they inherited from this guy who they were nice to, who had left them this money. Can you imagine? Real money, real person, real money, but oh no, I don't believe it. So they shut the door. They couldn't believe it, so it wasn't there for them, and they didn't get the money. Another real life example, and this is so recent, just to let you know, I just found out about this recently, but it's taught me a lot about how people's belief and expectations about money. Raise your hand if in the past 3 months you've gotten a telemarketing call even though you're on the do not call list. Okay? And of course what you do is either hang up the phone, you see the number and you cancel it, or you answer the phone and say, don't call me anymore, right? Okay, what if I told you that the best thing that you could do is to say, that sounds really interesting. But I have a call coming in on the other line. What number can I call you at right now? I'll call you back in 5 minutes, but I gotta take this other call. What's your number? Quick. Get the number. Call them back 10 minutes later. Ask them what they're selling. Ask them what it's about. Get information about their company, website, an address, things like that. Say to them, hey, my brother is really good on the phone. He would be really good at what you're doing here, calling people and reaching out to them. Can you give me the phone number of the name and the phone number of the marketing company that you're using so that I can have my brother call them and apply for a job? Great, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. you hang up. Now you have their information now. You know who they are and what they are and everything else. You also know they've broken the law. Okay? Did you know that the fine that they pay you, not the state, but they pay you for that nuisance call, each violation, if you show intent, can be worth up to $1,500. And there can be up to 3 violations on a single phone call. So that means $4,500, okay? Now here's the other cool thing I found out. If you send that company a letter and you say, you broke the law, send me some money or I'm gonna sue you, they'll say, okay, take us to court. But if you have a lawyer to send that same letter, that's the cost of doing business. They're just going to send you the check. Now, I just found out about this about a month ago. And I've started telling people about it. And there are some people, and the people are usually doing pretty well financially, who are like, I'm going to do that. You know, or they'll talk to a lawyer and say, yeah, I found out, Tim's right. You're right about that. That's true, I can do that. Okay, but the majority of people,
No.
I tell them, and what's the first thing they say? I don't have time. You don't have time for $4,500 just to call back a call? $1,500 maybe? You don't have time for that?
So
What?
is this business to consumers kind of phone calls?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, not B2B.
Okay.
That's for business to consumer. But my point of talking about it is that it's a resource, it's a knowledge that people won't accept because they'll just feel it's too good to be true. And because it's too good to be true, they're going to just shut it out of their mind and shut it out of their life. But if your mind is open, if you say, there's money everywhere, you know, and my financial planner friend over there has said, you know, America's filled with money, you just have to bend over and reach for it, right? So there are opportunities if you're willing to see them. And when you talk to your potential clients, I want you to realize this, that first off, oh, my phone's over there, I can't use it. Can I borrow your phone, Ed? When we leave the house every day, we always have keys, wallet, phone, right? The kids' song is hands, shoulders, feet and toes, and the adults is keys, cell phone, glasses, keys, cell phone, I don't know. But we have our things, okay? Our keys, our cell phone, and our wallet. When we go to talk to clients, we're looking at their wallet, right? But the real money is in their phone, is in the connections. So instead of every time you go to talk to a client, your biggest focus is on selling to them. Talk to them, find out what their problems are, see if you can help them. But most importantly, explain what you do, not just how I can help you, but how do you help people overall? How are you helpful? And then they can say, oh, I know someone who needs your help. But if you are just going for that one person, that's the most you're going to get. But if you are going after their phone book, there's a whole world open to you then. So I hope I've opened your eyes a little bit about some hypnotic persuasion techniques, about some new ways of doing sales. I'm going to hand this out. You take one and pass it back. And then give me one too, so read off it. Thanks. I'll take that one. Pass it back. So all of you for being here today are receiving a free session with me. And for being here today, you're getting a free 30-minute session. And I've listed on here some of those things you can use that 30-minute session for. If you enjoyed the presentation and you'd like to get a little bit more, I put some very discounted upgrades on there. So if instead of half an hour, you'd like to get an hour for $30, you can do a 60-minute session. And a 60-minute session, we're not just necessarily talking about sales. I can give you a full hypnotherapy session if you need it. So for example, if you have a phobia or a fear, it can help you erase that in one single session. And there are lots of things where you're like, oh, I don't feel comfortable flying, or when I drive over a bridge, I get really nervous. Things like that. Things where a memory will make you feel uncomfortable, I can change the way you feel about that in 1 hour. So that's one of the things, if you want to upgrade $30 to a 1 hour session. Or for $50, you get 2 1-hour sessions. So basically that's giving you 2 sessions where you can do hypnotherapy, you can do hypnotic coaching, or